and welcome back to another Angry Beaver video. This is actually my first Angry Beaver video I've done in a while. When I initially set up my two YouTube channels, I set up Tocqueville, which is meant to be kind of much more longer form, much more in-depth videos that take a lot more research and a lot more editing and that kind of thing. And then I wanted my Angry Beaver channel to be kind of just my quick take on things when something pops up that kind of bothers me. I haven't really been keeping up with the Angry Beaver end of things until today, and going forward I hope to make a lot more of them, if not make, in fact, daily videos. In the future, I'm also hoping to have my face visible on the screen here, but right now I'm using Camtasia 2 with my MacBook Pro, and the video it's producing is just very choppy. I'm not sure why that is. I'm still kind of working on that, but if anybody has any experience with choppy video from an iSight camera on Camtasia 2, please leave your comments below because I would be interested to hear it. Anyway, the article or the issue I want to talk about today is the violence at a rally at the rallies at Berkeley. And there's a few things that bother me about this. I mean, initially there was actually two rallies planned. One before this, which was going to be a free speech rally, and the organizers just canceled it because they were getting threats of violence. Okay, that's bad enough. This rally was going to be one for, I believe it was going to be for a no to Marxism rally. And the same thing happened, that there were violent threats, and the organizers decided it wasn't worth it, and they decided to back off. Now, on the day of the rally, some people still decided to show up on principle. And as well, a much larger group of 2,000 counter-protesters showed up, who were apparently largely peaceful. This is not unusual, because with these kind of protests and rallies, the left just does this much more, and I suspect it's because they tend to be a much more emotional. So if you've ever gone to or just walked by a sort of a left-wing rally, you see all these different groups there, from people who are opposed to Israel or pro-Palestinian, Black Lives Matter, socialists, communists, government unions typically of various kinds, or just unions. And I mean, it's always a big mishmash. So having like a large left-wing rally is not that uncommon. Nonetheless, though, most of the people were peaceful, and apparently they had 400 police officers on hand, and who at first were doing their jobs. Apparently they had checkpoints set up to make sure no one was bringing any kind of weapons or items that might lead to violence, and things were kind of going okay. But then what happened was about 100 Antifa showed up, and they just completely ignored the police. They just went around their checkpoints, and then they proceeded to attack the people who showed up for the No to Marxism rally, including Trump supporters and also journalists. And you can just look at some of the images of these guys, and this is Antifa in the past. And again, in my opinion, I mean, Antifa, these are the real fascists right here. There's way more of them, and when you hide your face and bring weapons and attack people for speech, you are textbook fascists. And anybody in the media or in our sort of establishment who is defending them should just be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And that includes people like Paul Ryan and all of our networks. Although I notice now they're having to back off because you can't hide this stuff. I mean, this is absolutely terrible. The worst part, though, was how the police reacted. And like I say, from the news reports, there was about 100 violent Antifa fascists, and there was 400 police. Well, the police should have been able to handle this, but they chose not to. And what happened is they stood down, and that's when Antifa started attacking people. And what really kind of got my blood boiling was when I heard the comment from Andrew Greenwood, who was actually the chief of police in Berkeley. And let's just listen to his idiocy right now.
Ceding the park. And the question has to be, does it make sense to get into a major use of force over grassy area? The need to separate very much vanished. Now, again, it's a little early. We'll take a look at everything.
Okay, I've heard enough of this idiot. You heard what he said, though. He thought it was not worth it to get into a confrontation over a grass of pitch. And I just could not disagree with that sentiment anymore. Look, what's going to happen now in the future? If you're Antifa, what you've learned now is that you can ignore the police. The police are paper tigers. The state is a paper tiger. The laws of the society don't apply to you because you can just go around them, and the thin blue line, if it's led by people like Chief Andrew Greenwood, is just going to fade away. It's like Obama's red line in Syria, for crying out loud. On the other hand, if you're a group that wants to protest something or have a rally that Antifa opposes, such as a free speech rally, you can't count on the police. You can't count on Chief Andrew Greenwood to defend you because he's not going to do it. He's already proven it. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to bring weapons of various kinds, and this is how you start getting potentially paramilitary groups within society. You have a state and you have a police force to enforce the law and sort of common society standards that everybody should accept. When people go over those standards or attempt to cross them violently, that's what the police are there to prevent. So in this case, when the police decided to stand down, they didn't just stand down. I mean, Berkeley stood down, the state stood down, and into that vacuum is where lawless groups like the Antifa fascists will take control. And God help you if you have a society run by those idiots. So when he talks about this grass pitch, it's not worth it for a major confrontation over a grass pitch. No, you couldn't be 100% more wrong. That grass pitch was a civil society that you, as a police officer, took an oath to protect. By failing to protect it, you've weakened the rule of law, you've weakened the authority of the police, and you failed to uphold your oath. So in my mind, Andrew Greenfield should resign. And the fact that I don't see anybody saying that he should resign yet is kind of baffling to me. But that's what I think. But I'm really interested in what you have to think. Do you agree with me that this guy, Chief Andrew Greenwood, should resign? Do you approve of the way the police handled the situation at Berkeley? Why or why not? Please leave your comments below because I'm very interested in hearing what you have to think. Also, be sure to check out my Tocqueville channel because there are many more in-depth videos there right now. I think my two best ones right now are my ones on postmodernism and how kind of dumb recycling is. You can check that out. I also had a good video up on monuments and why you shouldn't take those down, but that's been flagged by Fox because I had a Simpsons quote in there. I'm going to have to re-edit that. So that's it for today, and I hope to be talking to you soon.